What's up, nerds? It's Dan, and today we're going to talk about the Sturm, but not the one-tap Sturm that we've all seen in the Crucible. I'm talking about using the Sturm in PvE. So I'm sure you've all seen tons of videos about the Sturm in PvP and how great it can be in the right hands. Just in case you haven't heard of this weapon, I will go over it real quick. First off, it's a 110 RPM hand cannon with a special perk that enables it to do bonus damage. When paired with a specific sidearm, the Drang, kills with this sidearm load an extra damage bullet in the magazine, allowing you to 2-tap Guardians. However, when also paired with a damage buff ability such as a Warlock's Empowering Rift, you are able to 1-tap Guardians under the right circumstances. Before we get into PvE, just a quick overview of the weapon first. Like the Duke and other 110 hand cannons, the Sturm can 3-tap Guardians in the Crucible. With a damage buff, such as Empowering Rift active, all 110 hand cannons can 2-tap any Guardian. But what sets us apart from other hand cannons is the Overcharged round that can be added to the magazine with a Drain kill, allowing a 2-tap without an Empowering Rift. As you saw earlier, even 1-tap when both damage buffs are applied. Now I do have to let you know that you cannot always 1-tap Guardians under these circumstances. If someone has an 8 resilience or higher, they will be able to tank the shot. However, if they have 7 resilience or below, well, you'll be ruining a lot of people's days. Now for the main part of this video, should you use high impact hand cannons in PvE? The short answer, no. The Sturm, like other 110 hand cannons in PvE, is bad. Just don't use them. You can try them for yourself or just take my word for it. I'm not saying that all hand cannons are terrible in PvE. I know there are a lot of people out there that like hand cannons like the Kindled Orchid or Spare Rations or Midnight Coup, and with the right perks those guns can be pretty good, but I feel like there are plenty of other weapons that are pretty easy to use and are far better suited for clearing out groups of enemies. There can be an argument made that hand cannons 1-tap most red bar enemies, so they should be your go-to choice of weapon. For players that can reliably headshot enemies, that may be true, but for the average players, like us, hand cannons just don't seem to be the best choice. This is how I personally felt about them, however, that was until I tried out the Sturm and Drain combo in PvE. We all know that seeing is believing, so here is a taste of what I'm talking about, and why I think the Sturm can actually be a decent choice in PvE. With just 11 overcharged bullets, that's right, 11, you are able to take out this ogre in the tribute hall. I realize that it is not fair to just compare a normal Sturm to an overcharged Sturm. The overcharged Sturm would obviously win, so I made sure to test out a variety of different kinetic weapons to see if maybe any of them could match its power. First, I tried the Kindled Orchid, and then the Duke, which is like a baseline for the Sturm. Also, I just want to point out that I'm testing all these weapons in the Tribute Hall because as long as all your weapons are the same power level, then you can compare them across the board. All of my weapons here are 750 with the exception of the Sweet Business. I wanted to test out the Breakneck because it is a relatively popular weapon in PvE because of the good rampage perks it has. I also tried out a bow just to try mixing things up, but they don't seem to be in PvE too much. Like I said before, my Sweet Business is only 730 power level, but still did better than most of the weapons I tested. Lastly, I tested the Huckleberry because it has very good ad clearing ability with a perk that can constantly reload your weapon after a kill. I tried to test out other weapons that people use in PvE a lot, and also some random ones just to see if I could find any hidden gems. Another very popular weapon is the Recluse. I even tested it out with its perk active as long as I could. It seems a little annoying to try to constantly keep the damage buff active because you have to kill a low rank enemy and then reload and start shooting a boss and then just cycle this action until you kill them. But it still seems somewhat impractical since you have to be surrounded by enemies for it to work. And again, here is the Overcharged Sturm just to refresh your memory. Unlike Rampage and Kill Clip, you don't need to shoot your weapon quickly to take advantage of the damage buff. And before you even say it, I know, but Dan, aren't you forgetting a kinetic weapon? Look, we all know that the Outbreak Perfected is the undisputed #1 PvE weapon. I'm not even firing the fastest it goes and it still melts this guy. It is great at clearing mobs, it's great at boss DPS, it's just the best. But if you're looking for a different playstyle or you don't have the Outbreak, maybe try the Sturm. If we move away from the kinetic weapons and onto special weapons, things get a little more complicated. Yes, this high impact sniper rifle can take down this guy in 9 shots, but let's not forget something about snipers. 1, they are a special weapon, so they take special ammo, which is harder to come by than primary ammo. 2, snipers have crazy flinch when you get hit by enemy projectiles, which makes it difficult to use in PvE. So the next weapon to turn to would naturally be a shotgun. But besides the limitation on ammo, as with the sniper, shotguns have another downside, range. You have to be really close to an enemy you are trying to kill. And in case you don't remember the last time you tried to shotgun an elite enemy, Let me remind you, it's not fun. You either get meleeed and lose a big chunk of your health, or some enemies will stomp you and send you flying, which hurts you and takes you out of range to use your shotgun. One of the last special weapons I'll show you is the Loaded Question Fusion Rifle, because it is a very good PvE fusion rifle. This pinnacle weapon has a perk that allows your first shot in your magazine to do bonus damage when you have a full clip, along with exploding enemies killed with that burst. It hits hard and can be used at range, but again, it uses special ammo. I also threw on the Lunafaction Boots exotic, which constantly reloads your weapon, so I could see the full potential of the Loaded Question. As expected, it did not disappoint. I do realize that this has turned more into a video about weapons that are not the Sturm, but hopefully seeing all this footage has kind of showed you the killing capabilities of many different types of guns and can give us a little more appreciation for the Sturm. Like I said earlier, this is by no means a video saying that this is the best gun for PvE. If you are trying to one-man a Nightfall or speedrun anything, this isn't the way to go. In fact, I'd go to the other end of the spectrum and say that this is a support build. It's a loadout that thrives in a fire team or with teammates. You are there to pick off low-ranking enemies with your Dring, which will give you overcharge rounds, and then when a stronger enemy comes out, you can pull out the Sturm and start putting in some strong shots to help your team. This is a comparison that I really wanted to show, as I think it makes it clear just how strong this loadout can be. This beloved sniper rifle finishes off our friend here in 11 shots. So how will the Sturm compare against it? You may have guessed, but it matches the count at 11 shots. The Overcharged Sturm is basically like carrying around a beloved sniper that takes primary ammo and has way less flinch. Speaking of ammo, you know those overcharged rounds that the Sturm gets after a drain kill? Well, those aren't taken from your reserves, they're added out of thin air. As you may already know, high impact hand cannons have a very slow reload, but the Sturm takes care of that. I haven't even fully maxed it out, but I still have well over 50 rounds in the magazine, so no need to worry about reloading. Some people may say that having to use the Drang is a pretty big downfall to this build. I thought so too, but after using it for a little, you might not want to sleep on this thing. It tears up low-ranking enemies, and it's not doing a bad job on this ogre here. It performed as well, if not better, than some of the other primaries, and this thing is just a sidearm. As with PvP, empowering abilities work with the overcharged shots in PvE as well. A regular overcharged shot gives us about 61,500 damage, and empowering a melee bumps that up to around 76,800, and the empowering rift gives the same boost, around 76,800. If you use Well of Radiance, your damage will increase further to around 83,000 damage per shot. And lastly, you can stack the Well of Radiance buff with an empowering melee, allowing you to max out at around 104,000 damage per shot from the Sturm. But moving on, while there is no time limit on the overcharge rounds, switching away from the Sturm will take them away from you, so you should make sure to not switch during a mission. On the same note, if you die with overcharged rounds in the magazine, they will be lost forever. Which brings me to my next point, which is the subclass and armor that I like to use in order to make the most of this build. While you can use Lunafaction Boots and an Empowering Rift to go for the most range and damage, I personally think this exotic chest piece is the way to go. It's called the Vesper of Radius, and its intrinsic perk is Rifts release an arc shockwave when cast. Rift energy recharges faster when you are surrounded by enemies. Since dying causes you to lose all your overcharged rounds you have, I think that survival is the most important when using this build. Just so you know, this clip is not sped up at all, this is all in real time. You see when I first cast my Rift, it starts charging like normal, but as I get closer to this group of enemies, you can see that it is coming back at an extremely fast rate. This allows me to survive much longer, which lets me get more drain kills, which leads to more overcharged Sturm rounds, and I think you can see where I'm going with this. We can actually get more out of this build by also using Well of Radiance as a Warlock. First, under Well of Radiance we get a perk called Guiding Flame, which states, strike an enemy with this melee ability to inflict burn damage and empower yourself and nearby allies. We saw a little of that earlier when showing off the Sturm damage numbers. Next we have Divine Protection, which allows you to hold down your grenade button in order to convert your grenade into a blessing that you can throw on the ground. You and your allies can all pick up this buff and gain health and a full overshield. As you can already tell, this is vital when it comes to surviving. Lastly, we have a perk that ties all this together, which is Benevolent Dawn. Healing and empowering enemies regenerates your grenade, melee, and rift energy. Now remember, your grenade can be charged and thrown to heal allies, you can use your melee to empower your allies, and your rift can heal or empower your allies depending on which one you have equipped. All of these perks work together, allowing you to empower and heal your allies and yourself almost constantly. And with the Vesper of Radius exotic chest piece, everything just gets better. Also, just so you know, in this clip right here, I only have one grenade recharge mod on and one ability recharge mod on, and I'm still able to give this Guardian and myself 2 Divine Protections and have the capability of 2 healing rifts in this short amount of time. There's also one more thing about Well of Radiance that I forgot to mention. you're basically like an armored tank for 30 seconds. And that is pretty important since you don't want to lose all the overcharged rounds you have. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you can have a max of 99 overcharged rounds and have 111 in the magazine. Alright, well I think it's time to wrap this video up. Just to go over some of the main points covered today, the Sturm can hit hard, like on par with some adaptive frame sniper rifles. You do need to use the Drang with this weapon in order to get the overcharged rounds, but this sidearm isn't half bad. The extra damage bullets do not have a timer on them and will stay with you until they are used or you die. In order to prevent that from happening, we can use a Warlock with Well of Radiance for its survival capabilities. This combined with the Vesper of Radius exotic chest piece just makes surviving that much easier. And like I said earlier, this isn't going to be the best build in the game for solo activities. And for those of you who are a little bored with the meta or looking for something a little different, I think the Sturm setup could be just what you need. Well, that's going to be all I have for you today. If you have any feedback on the setup, let us know in the comments. If you liked what you saw, let us know with a like. And if you want to see more from us, let us know by subscribing. So until next time, later nerds.